Hello, everybody. This is Love from Above from your Sibling Spirit Guides. This is Maureen, and here's my brother.
Hi, this is Brian.
And on this podcast, we share channeled messages we receive from star beings, ascended masters, and occasionally our ancestors. And today's topic affects everybody. I don't care where you are or what you do. We all require rest and nutrition. And often I get pull in messages that proper rest and nutrition are required. So today's going to be a two-parter. Today's topic is the importance of sleep and dreams. And next week we'll cover nutrition, which has been a game changer for both my brother and I. So, yeah, let's just begin. They talk about the body is a delicate balancing machine. Proper rest and nutrients are required. What do you think about that, Brian?
Yeah, I totally agree. I know we've been really into this. I got you into having the Aura ring, Oura. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but it monitors, your activity, but also your sleep, and it monitors your sleep heart rate and respiration as well as your HRV. Um, so it's something, it's really gives you instant feedback. So if your HRV is low or something, it can show that maybe you're getting sick or that there's some issue or something like that. So I think it's super important. And yeah, it's great to hear that we're getting the same sort of guidance from those above.
Yeah, and what was interesting is they really the first thing I do every morning, and thank you, brother, again for recommending that Aura ring because it's been really a game changer for me. But the first thing I do is look at my sleep score. But they have provided a lot of information with regards to entering the altered state that we call sleep. And I don't know, have you tried any of these measures that they've suggested?
Yeah, so it is something that I have, I think they mentioned, and I before I go to sleep, I set the intention that we got from a certain message about um, connecting or getting messages in your sleep and things like that. So, and yeah, I do get things, not probably as clear as you and things like that, but I definitely do get messages and I do find it useful.
So we'll just dig right into the first topic, which is the importance of sleep and dreams. And this came through on Christmas Day, and I just thought it was an interesting perspective. This was from the Watchers, and it said, "We see that you are resting beautifully, encased, entombed in a pleasurable warmth, in the deepest love of the one Creator." So, I mean, I guess sleep is something we do every day, but I just love that to think about sleep as a way for us to be entombed with the deepest love of the one creator. Like that makes me want to go to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like, I'm all about it too. It's like getting the good night's sleep, and I really look forward to it. I'm like, I won't, as you probably are aware, some people in my family do not have the same beliefs on that and work all sorts of I'm speaking about my beautiful wife. Sometimes she's like, working late or doing whatever. And I am religious about just getting a good night's sleep and going to bed at the same time. And I think it's so important that because, like you said, that's so important. And that's a great quote to hear from them about uh, being in the deepest love with the one creator. I love it.
Yeah. So this was the next thing I want to cover is a session that we pulled in on May 6th. And this was so interesting again from the Watchers, who we hear from probably most frequently. That's the group we hear from most frequently, right now. And the watchers are kind of like a living Akashic record. They watch all realities, all beings through all time and space, through all levels of existence. So they said the first key to attaining freedom is often unexpected. It's importance of recognizing the altered state that you call sleep. This one altered state can be a wondrous launching point to access higher realms and receive information that will assist you in your days. So, yeah, Brian, you want to give the example of your father-in-law, how he got information through
Yeah.
his sleep?
Yeah, this is last weekend. He was putting together the this grill that he had stored away for the winter, and then there's a couple doors in the front of this where you can hold different supplies or whatever. And he spent a lot of time getting those doors on, trying to get the doors on. I didn't realize this. But then he sort of gave up, and then at night he got this dream, and it was showing he's putting them in upside down, or something. There was a rod and he was trying to put them in upside down, and there said flip it over, and he went out there first thing in the morning and they went right in. So and I told him, yep, Danny, you got to listen to the messages in your dreams. So I know you have a lot of examples of that I've definitely received messages. Um, so it's important to be attuned to that, and you can get valuable information. I mean, that's a simple example, but it proves the point that they're there to help you and provide some input into how things could be improved.
Yeah, I thought of two examples that everyone, would certainly relate to. And I'm just recently finishing up the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight about the creation of the Nike company. And in that book, he talks about they separated from the Japanese manufacturer who they were selling all the shoes from. So they had to come up with their own name for the brand. And Phil Knight's idea, which he thought was great, and everybody in the company was like, that is the worst name ever, was Dimension Six. I mean, that sounds like a Star Trek episode. Dimension Six. We're off to Dimension Six. And they couldn't come to any agreement. There were all kinds of animal names and bird names like falcon and condor. And it was literally the shoes were being manufactured. They had to come up with a name. And the night before the final deadline, the first person who was employed for Nike, he woke up in the middle of the night. He said, bolt up in the middle of the night. And he had the vision that the brand name should be Nike after the goddess of victory, which I mean, that's like the perfect name. And would Nike be so successful if their name was Dimension Six? I I don't know, but and they had $51 billion worth of sales last year. And then the other example that I think of is another book I read last year was an biography on Paul McCartney. And he received the song Yesterday in a dream, and it was complete, like the complete song. And you know how you get like a song stuck in your head? Well, he thought he had gotten a song that he heard on the radio stuck in his head, and because it was so complete. And finally he couldn't get it out of his head. And I think they were recording the Let It Be album at the time, and he talked to like a sound engineer. He's like, have you ever heard this song? And he started playing it on the piano. He's like, no, that's not a recorded song. So he realized like they had this fully recorded song in his head. And they consider Yesterday to be one of the most covered songs of all times. So many different artists have recorded it. And both of those informations, they came through dream messages. And as you know, I write down my dream messages all the time. And I get really I've had really powerful shifts in my life from listening to those dream messages.
Yeah, those are, I love those stories. I know the Dimension Six is hilarious, but I
He
know it's,
wanted that so bad. He didn't understand it. He's like, it's a great name.
yeah, yeah. We've read so many different books where, famous people get messages or, it's not uncommon exactly for um famous musicians to get their lyrics or, tunes in their sleep. And then, it's coming from those above. So I mean, it's it's so incredible that all the different stories are so many different examples of that, but those are some good ones.
Yeah, and so I mean, it again just points to the importance of like really connecting and being in tune with the creator and getting the information that you need for the day. And one of the things that the watchers talk about, which is that you really need to, they say that like a long distance runner who begins the training process with a warm up for sleep is required. They also compare it to like setting a table. Like you wouldn't just, you need to set the table before you sit down and eat. So they said the most important part is setting the attention. And they wanted you to call in the guardians and angels, rest the body and the mind through relaxation techniques, and put the phone far away from the bed. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I don't remember this, but yeah, that is good message. I know we've read other books that have similar examples of what should be done, but um and it says 3 hours before intended sh sleep should begin, put the electronics away, which makes sense. Um yeah, so those are all great tidbits for people to follow. Yeah, because rest is just so important. And so, but the setting the intention, the one thing I don't remember is calling in the guardians and angels. I mean, I do that when I first get up, but I need to do that when I go to sleep too. I don't think I've been doing that. How's your practice for that, Maureen?
Well, I started that because they actually gave us this invocation to say before you go to sleep, which is interesting. I wanted to ask you about this, brother, because we grew up Catholic, and Catholic, there's so many routine prayers that you say within the church services, and then during the day, like we would always say prayers before going to bed and before eating, and I had really gotten away from that practice of like having a routine prayer that I said every day, but we covered in different, I think in our help podcast about how those above really want us to call in help. So both Brian and I do invocation to the archangels and to our grandparents every day. And now I've added this one. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you think about these routine phrases or like prayers or invocations that we've been called upon to use? But I will tell you, I've had a significant change in my life since I've started to use these,
Yeah.
um, and it hasn't been long. I mean, it's been maybe like a month or two that we've been using the ones where we call on for help. I mean, what do you think, brother?
I think so. I mean, we've also read a lot about the power of, prayer. And it's not just, we're not into organized religion, but in either calling on your guides or spirit guides or just prayer itself and calling on so yeah, there's a lot of power to that, and it's shown, you know, I can't remember one of the books. Oh, I think it was that Greg Braden book I just mentioned. It talked about also, we've heard about this, and this is something I think we mentioned, but the power of prayer in groups. So, I mean, we try and meditate together before we do these podcasts, but also, there's power in, doing meditations or prayers in groups. And they've shown when that's been done. Like the violence and all sorts of things go down when there's these big prayers, group prayers going on, so that the violence is lower across the world. So it's just amazing that that is capable from just from getting together with others. And I think that the formula that I think it's mentioned in a few books, but I think it's like you don't need I think for it's like the square root of the population or something like that. I don't know, but it was, just with a handful of people, you can impact, thousands of people. So, and then the more people you get in a group, the more powerful your, prayer or meditation becomes.
Okay, so I'll go over this prayer that came through, and this has been pretty recent. I mean, I think I've only been saying this for maybe a week, so I think maybe we got this in last week, but the prayer is, I ask that only the highest vibrations enter my sleeping space. For while I shall be gone to other worlds, my bodily form shall be grounded and protected. I ask to see worlds beyond which I can know or imagine, to have the greater truths of the one Creator revealed to me at the deepest level of my soul. This is my truest wish for this night and every night as I go forward in time, whether in this embodiment or another. I am grateful for all those who attend to me as I enter the slumbering mode. That's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so then after this, you just also add in about your archangels or spirit guides to protect you during sleep.
I do that I do the archangels and the one to our grandpa and grandma first thing in the morning. So I do
Okay.
those for when I
Yeah.
first wake up, and then I do this when um and I will tell you, it's hasn't been that long, but I mean it's life has been kind of like a dream. Like everything has just gone so beautifully. So I really do feel like everything is working out beautifully. I'll give you some examples. Like I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere in South Africa, and you know, like I've ended up taking like Ubers and not realizing that like it's going to be hard for me to get an Uber back, but it's like a miraculous look. People like people are really surprised that I'm able to do this. I don't know, but it just all ends up working out. So and I've met some really, really lovely people, really lovely drivers. So I'm really grateful. But yeah, so I really do feel those extra hands coming in and helping me out in situations where I didn't even realize that it might be a little bit of a tricky situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's sort of one thing I always try and say is like everything always works out for me, and just having that sort of mindset and belief, and everything does, if you're at a high vibration like that, things tend to always work out for you, just like you're saying.
Yeah. So I want to just end with their last words with regards to creating the sleep routine. They said that just as you created routines for your children, or your parents created a sleep routine for you, you need to create your own sleep routine. They say too many people flip through their cell phone before bed, turn off the light, cuddle up to their loved one. These are not the proper measures to bring forth the results that most individuals seek. Like the child that needs to be tucked in and read a story, your mind needs to prepare. For this is the launching state into an altered state of reality. You can use this platform to elevate your consciousness and your life. Ba 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 boom. So, yeah.
Amazing. Yep.
Yeah, and I've been practicing for a couple of years now, like lucid dreaming, and I write down all of the messages that I get in my dreams, and it is like life shifting. So for example, like the message that I got last night was something that I would never, I could have meditated in a cave for 10 years and I don't think I would have come up with this, but they gave me the message that all last year they told me multiple times that rushing is very, very bad. You never want to rush. Do not rush. So I got that. But last night they said it's equally not advantageous to like be really, really laxed. I mean, this is like a privilege to be in embodiment in this lifetime here on this planet. And so you need to be, it's like everything else, you need the middle way. You need to not be rushing, but also not be too relaxed so that you can take advantage of all the opportunities that are before you. So again, that's not something that I would have thought of on my own. So I'm grateful to get messages like that pull through in my sleep.
Right. And the other thing is, they've mentioned this on some of the message we've got about how we do some astral travels at night. And I was going to ask you about this because I mean, I don't really remember this, but they've mentioned, oh yeah, you're doing amazing things and when you're sleeping. Um, did you want to mention anything about that? Because I don't really recall any of that, but I don't, do you have any recollection
Well,
of those or?
we could do a whole other episode about that, and we're going to actually talk about that next week because
Okay.
that was related to your um so I guess we'll just go in and preview next week. So next week we're going to talk about proper nutrition, and that one's, and I'm the one who's channeling this in, and oftentimes that is the case. The most recent case was last week, and I had flown on a really long flight, and they were like proper nutrition, and I had eaten like in the past 24 hours like an omelet and fruit. And that was like it. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. But Brian was called by these group called the Arshurian Brothers, and they wanted to induct him in an astral traveling session, but first he had to change his diet. So we're going to cover that because I think that was really interesting, and that has certainly changed your life in a big way, right, brother?
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about for next week. Do you have any final comments, Brian?
No, looking forward to it. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions or comments. I'm at lovefromabovepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, looking forward to it. Love to everyone.